Your phone rings at 11:47 p.m. The screen says it's your daughter. You answer. Her face fills the frame. Red eyes, tears on her cheeks, voice breaking. Dad, I caused an accident. The other driver wants 800,000 yen tonight. Please don't tell Mom. Please. You wire the money before midnight. The next morning, you call to check on her. She picks up, confused. She's been asleep since 9. This is not a thought experiment. This is Japan, 2026. And the voice, the face, the tears, none of it was her.
Japan has a word for this category of crime: tokushu sagi, special fraud. It's been a fixture of police reports for decades. But the numbers coming out of 2025 are different in a way that should alarm anyone. By October 2025, recognized special fraud losses had reached approximately 109.67 billion yen, a pace that law enforcement is calling the worst on record. And inside that number, ore-ore-style voice impersonation fraud, the "it's me, it's your child" scam, saw losses jump roughly 87.9% year-on-year in 2024 alone, reaching an estimated 15.31 billion yen. Here is what has changed. It used to be that a shaky voice, an unusual word choice, a slight accent, these were the cracks that let victims sense something was wrong. In 2026, AI closes those cracks. A scammer needs less than 3 seconds of your child's voice, taken from a TikTok video, a voicemail greeting, a reposted Instagram reel, to generate a clone that is, to a parent's ear, indistinguishable from the real thing. In the United States, the FTC has already issued alerts about this exact pattern. AI-cloned voices used in grandparent emergency calls. Japan's security researchers are watching those reports not as warnings from far away, but as a preview of what is already quietly happening here.
To understand why Japan is so vulnerable to this kind of scam, you have to go back further than technology. You have to go back to the phone itself. Japan's first nationwide telephone infrastructure expanded dramatically through the post-war Showa era, the 1950s through 1970s. For an entire generation, the telephone was the voice of trust. It was how you heard your children were safe after the earthquake. It was how your son called from his first salaryman posting in Tokyo to say he was okay. That bond between telephone contact and familial reassurance became deeply wired into older generations, and criminals noticed. The first ore-ore scams, ore-ore, it's me, I need money, were documented in the early 2000s. By 2004, they were widespread enough to earn their own entry in the Japanese media lexicon. Police launched public awareness campaigns. Banks added in-branch intervention protocols. ATM time limits were imposed. But the fraud never went away. It adapted. Here's what most coverage gets wrong about that history. It frames ore-ore as a scam targeting careless elderly people. That misreads the mechanism entirely. These scams work not because old people are stupid, but because the emotional architecture of a distressed child calling a parent at night is nearly impossible to override with rational suspicion, regardless of age. That wound from the post-war era of telephone trust never fully healed, and in 2025, artificial intelligence tore it open again.
Let me tell you about the scenario that Osaka legal analysts are now using to explain the new reality. It is a weeknight, a little past 10 p.m. A 52-year-old company manager, not elderly, not particularly naive, receives a video call notification from his son's number. He answers. The face on screen is his son's. The voice is his son's. The expression is fear. Dad, I hit someone with the car. The person is okay, but wants to settle privately. I need 800,000 yen transferred before the police get involved. Please don't tell Mom. The father, in Osaka, knows this sounds strange, but the face, the voice, the tears, his rational brain is being overwhelmed by every parental instinct telling him, this is your child, act now. He transfers the money. His son was, at that moment, watching a movie in his apartment. Think about that for a moment. The material used to build that fake call, the voice, the facial expressions, the mannerisms, was scraped from reels his son had posted publicly over the past 3 years. The scammers needed no access, no inside information, no special relationship. They needed a Wi-Fi connection and a few seconds of footage. In Osaka alone, 2025 saw approximately 4,813 recognized cases of special fraud combined, with total losses of 33.9 billion yen, an increase of 15.1 billion yen from the prior year. Nationally, seniors aged 65 and over still account for roughly 65.4% of all special fraud victims. But analysts are flagging something new. The 40 to 50-something demographic, people who use video calls, who bank online, who post on social media, are increasingly being targeted. Because they are also the ones who left digital traces of their children's voices and faces all over the internet. Official police statistics in Japan still do not have a dedicated AI clone scam category. AI is classified as a tool within existing special fraud types, which means the true scale of what is happening may be invisibly hidden inside a label that sounds almost harmlessly familiar.
So how is Japan actually reacting to this? I went through the comment sections, 5chan threads, Yahoo Japan news discussions, and the tone is not panic. It is something quieter and more unsettling. A kind of resigned clarity.
One user wrote, if they can copy your kid's voice from a TikTok clip, the old just call back and check advice is useless. One user wrote, my parents still answer every unknown call. After reading this, I told them, never say yes, just hang up. One user wrote, the scary part is not the technology, but how easily our voices are scattered online without us realizing. One user wrote, the government keeps saying, be careful,
But as long as we leave landlines and fax culture untouched, scammers have infinite targets. One user wrote, "In the end, they blame careless old people instead of fixing systems that let strangers pretend to be banks or family."
And honestly, reading through these comments, what I noticed is not a population in denial. It is a population that has watched this problem grow for 20 years, has seen every campaign fail to stop it, and is now processing the AI update with a weary, exhausted recognition, like seeing an old enemy show up with new weapons. For comparison, on Western Reddit and tech forums, the framing is almost entirely different. The conversation there centers on deepfake ethics, AI regulation, and the novelty of the technology. The cultural and emotional mechanics, the shame, the urgency, the midnight call dynamic are almost entirely absent from the Western discussion.
This is where Western analysis of Japan often gets it wrong. The standard international take on Japanese scam vulnerability focuses on aging demographics and technology illiteracy. Those are real factors, but they are the surface. Layer 1: Cultural. Japan's shame-based family dynamics create a specific vulnerability. The emergency call follows a very precise script. "I caused trouble. I need money. Don't tell anyone." That last phrase activates not just urgency, but shame. The target is being asked to quietly absorb a problem on behalf of their child, which is precisely how a devout Japanese parent is conditioned to respond. Layer 2: Structural. Japan's landline culture is embedded in housing, business practice, and community infrastructure. Small businesses, local government offices, neighborhood associations, nursing homes, all still run on landlines and fax. This creates a permanently accessible channel that never requires hacking, never gets blocked, and reaches an audience already primed to treat it as authoritative. Layer 3: Organizational. The crime networks running these operations are structured, disciplined, and adaptive. The same networks that pioneered spoofed caller ID and phishing campaigns have now absorbed AI voice cloning tools with the same efficiency. Law enforcement moves on political timelines. Criminal networks move on profit timelines. The gap is widening. Put yourself in the position of someone who is 72, lives alone, and gets a midnight video call from a face they recognize, saying the words they are most afraid to hear. No public awareness campaign prepares you for that.
So, where does this leave us? Japan's security researchers are converging on a few practical responses. Family code words, a pre-agreed secret phrase that no AI can know, are increasingly recommended. Call blocking apps like Who's Call are expanding their AI detection capabilities. Banks are adding friction to large late-night transfers. Some prefectures have launched AI fraud awareness campaigns targeting the 40 to 60 age bracket, not just seniors. But here's the honest assessment. These are patches on a structural wound. As long as social media produces free, publicly accessible voice and video data, as long as family bonds create exploitable emotional pressure, as long as criminal networks adapt faster than regulators, the fundamental conditions for this kind of fraud will remain. What changes is only the fidelity of the fake. In 2004, Ore scammers used shaky voices and scripted excuses. In 2026, they use a face you recognize, crying words you were always afraid to hear. In 2030, the gap between real and generated may close entirely. Japan is not uniquely naive. Japan is uniquely early. The same deepfake family scam pattern is now appearing in the United States, Germany, South Korea, Australia, wherever aging populations and digital social media overlap. Japan's experience is not a curiosity, it is a preview. What strikes me most about this story is not the technology. It is that every scam is ultimately a test of what we trust. And this one has found the oldest, deepest trust of all, the voice of a child calling home. So here's what I want to ask you in the comments below. If a video call showed your own family member's face and voice, real in every detail, what proof would you ask for before you acted? And do you think your parents or your grandparents could hold that line? If this made you think, consider subscribing to Shadow Japan, where every video tries to find the thing that is actually happening underneath the story everyone is already telling.